Yep, we're good. So I see it on my computer.
Cool.
All right, with that, so it's after 7 p.m. We'll call to order the May 27th, 2020 Planning Board meeting. If everyone can please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Adam, thank you for this nice flag. So I'll start. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of
of the United States of America and to the republic
for which it stands,
one nation,
under
under
God,
God,
indivisible, with
liberty and justice
for all.
All right, thank you everyone for joining us. Certainly this is a different meeting than normal. Can everyone hear me all right?
Yep.
Okay. So we have a virtual policy for this meeting. I'm just going to read it off quick. This meeting is being conducted remotely pursuant to Executive Order 202.1 and related federal, state, and local guidance related to COVID-19 virus. Members, staff, and applicants are participating in a virtual meeting via Zoom. This virtual meeting is being broadcast live on the town's YouTube channel, is being recorded, and will later transcribed in accordance with Executive Order 202.1. For those participating tonight, please note there may be a 30-second delay between this meeting and the YouTube broadcast. Board members, staff, and other participants are requested to mute themselves when not speaking to reduce interference. Applicants will be placed on mute until their item is up for consideration. Applicants are free to remain in the meeting on mute after their item is complete, or they may leave. Dahlia Starowitz of the Planning and Zoning Department is the Zoom meeting host and will admit participants, mute, unmute participants, monitor the chat box, and while working with me, generally manage the meeting. Text placed in the chat box will be read aloud or otherwise addressed by Dahlia and myself during the course of the meeting. During the course of the meeting, in order to keep the broadcast and discussion clear, I will call on members to offer comments during discussion of the agenda items. Members may also request to speak via the chat box. Finally, members can unmute themselves to offer comment if urgent and as needed, but are encouraged to wait until they are called upon. So at this time, I think the plan was that everyone's going to be muted. And we'll just kind of do a roll call through the board members, or if people, I think you can raise your hand or you can comment. And if you have a comment or question, that Dahlia can then unmute you. Dahlia, does that make sense?
Yeah, everything makes sense.
Okay, so we're not doing any public hearings tonight, so we'll jump into old business. 1408 Deer Pond Elliott Road for a major 62-lot subdivision. I don't think the applicant's coming for this. Is that correct, Adam?
Yeah, they're not coming.
Okay. This is just an additional 90-day extension of the conditional preliminary plat approval.
Yeah.
Does anyone have objection to giving another extension? See some. So we do have a hand up from, I think it's Don Panton.
Yeah, it's Don. Let me unmute him. 1 second.
Go ahead. Yeah, unmute him. Go ahead.
1 second,
Oh.
Don.
Yeah, you're still muted, Don. Hold on.
Trying to get on. Did he still?
Yeah.
I can't talk.
Yeah,
There
you're
we
good
go.
now.
Did you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, because I was having the host is not allowing participants to unmute themselves.
Yep.
That's
So
what
everyone's going to be muted for a little while, and then we're just going to go through each person and ask for a comment. So do you have any
But I hit
comment
by
on the?
mistake.
Do you have any comment on the 90-day extension?
No.
All right. Next, we'll go to Jim Moore. You got anything? Jim, I think you're on. Jim?
No, I don't have anything.
All right.
No comment.
Next, we'll go to Ralph. Can we Ralph's still muted.
Yeah, I know. I'm trying. I don't know
No,
why.
it's all right.
I'm wondering if it might be more productive if we all just mute and unmute ourselves when we want to talk, stay on mute, but rather than.
Yeah, that's fine. So
Yes.
Dahlia, if you want to unmute, I guess we can do it that way.
Okay.
Anyone's
So
got-
Ralph, you can go ahead. You're unmuted.
No, the only question I had is, I know last time they were in front of us, it was the third extension that they were asking for. Is there any particular reason why this is pushed back again?
I think this is like the 7th. Adam, you want to speak to that?
Yeah, I think there's a couple of things. One, of course, is the pandemic. I think that slowed that slowed a lot of things down, obviously. And this project had some headwinds in terms of the sanitary sewer, the county highway review, and the water supply design. I think the water supply was probably the long pole in the tent on this. So I did reach out to the applicant's team today to let them, or before this meeting, I think it was late last week, to let them know that the board is, due to the pandemic, is willing to grant an extra 90-day extension and allow them to to continue to move the project. But I have not heard anything from them, and I have not seen any movement on any of those items. I believe that DEC was very close to signing off on the sanitary sewer. We had collected all the data and given it to them that Bonnie Star was looking for. So yeah, part of it is the pandemic. Part of it is just the nature of the stuff that they were addressing.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Ralph, you good?
Yeah.
So Nancy, you got anything? You're on mute, Nancy.
There it goes. No, I have nothing.
Okay. Kurt, you good?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good. No comment.
Chris?
I'm good.
And then we already hit on Don. All right. So with that, I'm going to make a motion to extend this approval for 90 more days. Whereas the Town of East Greenbush Planning Board granted conditional preliminary plat and pre-construction approval of the above-mentioned subdivision on April 11, 2018. And whereas the preliminary plat approval dated April 11, 2018 required the applicant to satisfy several conditions within 180 calendar days of the resolution. And whereas in accordance with Article 4, Section 5 of the town subdivision regulations, the final plat and other supplementary documents shall be filed with the clerk of the planning board within 180 days after the preliminary plat approval. And whereas on the applicant was granted extensions in accordance with the town subdivision regulations on September 10th, 2018, January 9th, 2019, April 10th, 2019, July 8th, 2019, and October 8th, 2019, January 8th, 2020, extending conditional approval until April 8th, 2020. Be it resolved that the Town of East Greenbush Planning Board hereby grants an extension to the applicant to satisfy the conditions within the preliminary plat approval and file the final plat and supplementary documents in accordance with Article 4, Section 5 of the town subdivision regulations until July 8th, 2020. Do I have a second?
Second.
I saw Nancy put her hand up, so she's taking it. I can only see 4 people at a time. So seconded by Ms. Kupiak.
Roll call
ahead,
as
Al.
follows. Chairman Maston,
Yes.
Mr. Moore,
Yeah,
Mr. Viola, Ms. Kupiak,
Yes.
Mr. Bergman,
Yes.
Ms. Horn,
Yes.
Mr. Panton.
I think he said yes.
I think he said yes too. Motion carried 7-0.
All right. Now on to 1918 Pheasant Hollow, 2670 Phillips Road, 10-lot cluster subdivision. As much as it pains me, we can now unmute Steve Hart.
You guys can hear me all right?
Yes, we can. Steve, quick question. Do you want me to share the PDF that you sent me, or do you want to do it?
No, if you want, go ahead.
Okay,
Thanks, Dahlia.
you're welcome.
So all you guys can see that?
Yes.
So I guess we're here for a few reasons. One, I just wanted to update the board with more of the updates we've had. I've been working with Adam. We've been working with Nan with Adirondack Engineering and just addressing comments that we had. I think the last time we were in front of you was like around February. We had a public hearing, I think, scheduled for March 12th, and that's when everything hit with the pandemic. So we've sort of been on hold, but behind the scenes, we've been working out technical comments. The layout that you see in front of you is very similar to what we had back in February. couple things I just wanted to highlight a little bit, and the reason we had the aerial map is just in all the front yards here, there was discussions about landscaping and cutting down trees and saving what we can and adding new landscape. And also over here at the intersection where Phillips Road and Hayes Road come together here, we're showing a grouping of trees there. So, and I believe Ralph Iola had mentioned that, and a few other people may have mentioned as well. So in essence, we're trying to promote where people will save as many trees as possible. But if people decide they want to go clear cut their front yards, at a minimum, they've got 2 trees and 4 shrubberies and a mulch bed to put into their front yards. And at the intersection here, we had 3 trees, spaced about 30 foot on center, and they were all native trees. Nan had given us the name of 3 or 4 different species out there. And then we had 6 shrubberies out there. So we'll be able to dress up that intersection quite nice with a nice sized berm and the plantings that are through there. And then the same goes with all these front yards down here along, I guess that would be lots like 4 through 9. Again, the intent is if people can save trees, if there's some good trees out there and they can save it, then they can be benefited. But if people want to go clear cut things there, then they would at a minimum need to plant. I mean, I would say as well, I mean, people are going to come here and they're going to plant around the fronts of their houses. You know, typically around my neighborhood, people have mailboxes and light poles out in the front, so they landscape around there as well. So this is by no means the only landscaping that I would assume people are putting on their parcels, but at a minimum, it's going to break up a front yard. So if we had a house 60 or 70 foot back and someone decided they want to clear all their trees, we'll have a nice little landscape cluster. At a minimum, they'll be required to replant that. So from a landscaping standpoint, that's really the main modification that was added, aside from the other comments that Nan and I and Adam have been going over. One of the later developments here, we are bringing the sewer down from Criss Crossing. So Criss Crossing would be on the top of the page, which is north, and I think that'd be north and west a little bit from us. And we're bringing the sewer down Hayes Road, and then we're bringing it across Phillips Road in front of all of our lots. So the people on Hayes Road here, and there's 4 homes and 1 vacant parcel of land, are all being part of the subdivision, are all part of the sewer district extension. The people here across the street, and that would be on the west side of Phillips Road, the people on this side of the road here are not going to be part of it. 3 people out of 6 did not want to be in it. There actually became some costs with trying to either cut across Phillips Road or to mold and bore underneath the road. So we decided tail end of last week that if not everybody wanted it, and there was going to be some cost to bring across the road, that we would not force those people to join the district. So aside really from the landscaping issues that we talked about up front with the addition of the landscape berms and the people on the west side of Phillips Road not being included in the sewer district, I'm not really sure much else has changed from a planning board aspect. Again, we've been addressing comments not only with Nan, but county health and county highway. I did reach out to county highway, which is these 3 lots, 1, 2, and 3 on the roadway here, just to try to solicit any final comment they had. They're fine with the layout that we've got out there. So we're just looking to get final comment back from them and county health, et cetera. So hoping we're on like a 95% range as far as having all the design and the technical data taken care of. And our hope was to be able to schedule that public hearing we were hoping to have in March. We're hoping to be able to schedule that for the next meeting. So I think that's all I have to offer. Certainly if any of the board members have comments, I'd be happy to address them.
Yeah, just for the sake, again, of us not talking over each other. So I'm just going to go down the list again. So I'm going to start with Jim Moore. You have anything?
Yeah. Yes, I do. This question is directed towards Adam and Steve. From what I recall, and I may be wrong about this, properties within a certain distance of a sewer district, I thought were obligated to join the district. Is that not the case?
Jim, if you want, Adam, I'll try to answer it. Maybe you've got some other input as well. But so typically, if someone's septic, Jim, goes bad a year down the road or 10 years down the road, the county health department is going to try to push them to join in on the public sewer. But I don't know if there's a mandate for them to join it, especially if there's some costs that are associated with it.
Yeah.
Initially, when we started on this, Andy Brick, who's the attorney that we were working with at Don Z's office, suggested to me that we only put our property in and not even include anyone else in the district. So I would probably say I don't think that's a mandate that people have to, because initially only the highlighted color on this map he thought I should bring in, but I wanted at a minimum to bring all these people in along Hayes Road. So, and I think, and I believe, but I won't speak for Dave Gruenberg, and Adam might be able to get in, but I don't think there was any concerns from Dave Gruenberg from the town attorney standpoint as well.
Yeah.
Is every house going to be within the district? Because I thought that played into it, right? If the house is within, or the parcel was within the district, then they had to join.
I think that's where the lack of clarity is. Dave and I went over this issue, and I think the contradiction is that we're not sure how it would be resolved, because the sewer use law does have a provision if you're within a certain feet of an existing or even a planned sewer line, then there's sort of a compulsory hookup. So I think that's accurate, Jim. I think what's unclear is how that would relate to the district provision. So if you're outside of a district, but within a certain foot, the required distance of the infrastructure, how does that work? Does the town board of its own volition do an expansion of the district to your property? So there's a little bit of uncertainty as to how those two elements, those legal elements, would work together.
Yeah.
Jim, is that all you got?
Yes.
Okay. Ralph?
I'm fine with everything.
All right. Nancy?
Yeah, I'm good.
Kurt?
One quick question. This just might be because this is a sketch. The one property line actually goes in through the water. Is that really how it's going to be, or would it be on solid ground?
So if we're talking about on the right side of lot 9, Kurt, which I assume you are where I'm pointing, I think you can see that. That actually is the line that's over there. It might be 2 or 3 feet off the water's edge, and it's just a sketch. The hatch area that you see out here is part of the overlay district boundary. So regardless of really where that line is going, you can't do any grading and building work within this area here. So I think at one point I started, and that line was more like in the center of the pond. So, but to answer your question, it may be clipping into the water a little bit. In reality, it's a line on a piece of paper, so it's not like you can really use that area over here in this hatched area as well that I'm showing here.
You can put in swimming lanes like the YMCA pool.
That's it. There you go.
As long as you don't mind the snapping turtles that are in there.
Yeah, I was just wondering if there might be any discord between the down the road of the two owners. Who owns what and so on. You can put a boat in, but you can't paddle out or something like that.
Right.
And liability and all that crap.
And Steve, can you speak to to follow up that that pond is important for irrigation, correct? So you're going to have easements around that too, correct?
Yes, thank you, Adam. So this is our main, you can't see it on the sketch here, but our main pump house is right here. And this is really where we get all the water from the course. So there's going to be a maintenance easement around this that the golf course, Pheasant Hollow Golf Course, is going to maintain over this pond and actually even over this pond here as well, because this pond drains via drainage come down here into this pond here. So in reality, we're going to protect both of these with maintenance easements. So if the course needs to come in and maintain edges or clean out where their pipe comes in, where their inlet comes into the pond, we'll have rights over that with the golf course.
Kurt, were you talking about the small pond where the line goes right through it?
Yeah, the one on the, no, I was talking about the larger one on the right. Yeah, but the same question would apply.
Right.
Kurt, are you good?
I'm good, thank you.
All right, Chris?
Just out of curiosity, Steve, did you say that some people did want the sewer and others didn't, and so you decided not to? Was it a 50-50?
Yeah, so all the people, Chris, up and down Hayes Road wanted it, okay? So coming up and down Hayes Road, and we were digging right in their front yards to put that pipe in. But the
Right.
people across this side here on Phillips Road, the west side of Phillips, 50% wanted it and 50% did not. And when I say wanted it, they were in agreement to join on to it. It's not like they were jumping up and down that they were getting sewer, like it really didn't make a difference, but they weren't gonna oppose it.
Okay, but it's not going to start any, any issues in the neighborhood if they're not getting it now.
That's correct, yeah.
Okay. I'm good. Thank you.
All right, great. Don,
Elements you added.
you're on mute, Don. Don, you're still on mute. You got to unmute yourself. Don,
Can you hear
there you go. Yep,
You hear me now?
good to go.
See, I want to ask you, all the new structures, they're going to need grinders? I think you mentioned that before.
That is correct. From our site down up to Chris Crossing, which is where we're tying into a manhole on Hayes Road, probably about a 30-foot difference in elevation uphill. So all the homes will be on grinder pumps.
Okay. Okay, they'll probably need a portable generator in case the power goes out too, I imagine.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the backup is for all those, but
Okay, I thought you had mentioned 30 feet at one time. I said I got to verify it. Okay, I'm okay.
All right. Steve, I know you mentioned we talked about in previous meetings using the sanitary as an amenity to offset open space. Is that still the plan? There was a requirement for open space?
yeah, I think Matt, there was a little bit. It's not like, let's just say we needed 3 acres of open space that we don't have 3 acres. I mean, I think we are missing numbers by a little bit, and I know Nan alluded to that in her last letter. So yeah, I think the intent was we are, sharing, the lion's share, 100% of what the cost is to bring this all down. So yes, I think our numbers were off a bit, and we were hoping the board was sensitive to that and allowing some of that criteria. And Adam may have a better sense or clarification on that as well, but I think that statement's accurate.
Adam, anything to add?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's not just, I think Steve's right. I don't have the numbers in front of me. I think there's a marginal difference between what the cluster regs require, and I can, send that to the board and what's provided. I think, the two things also to say are that the folks on Hayes Road are still getting the sewer. So they're in the district. They don't have to go through this expensive process, and install infrastructure, district extension process. I think the other thing that really the board may want to consider or which we've talked about before is the form of ownership and kind of the intent of that provision of open space, which really is about, the enjoyment of the residents of that community, that development. So that's something that I think the board, we had kind of discussed earlier, and, there are provisions allowing flexibility in that part of the code. Previous discussions were predicated on having the folks on Phillips Road also in the district.
Yeah, I mean, I see a huge benefit to extending the sewer, right, for these residents. It's expensive and it's for 9 lots, right? We've asked for less for much bigger projects in the past. That's just my opinion.
And Steve, just to be clear too, and then I'll yield. You're installing like curb stops, right? You're installing connections. They're just not. They're on the east side of Phillips. Not they would. Yeah.
Yeah, that's correct. So we'll still be putting a line in here, and then we're going to have the curb stops and boxes out to each one of these parcels here. So later on, if and when someone wants to tie into it, they probably have to do a little district extension, but everything's going to be set for them to connect right into that line. So for the most part, we're still doing all the legwork for them, whether they decide to be in it or not. When the time comes and their septic fails, again, they could be there 20 years and never have an issue with it. They could be there 2 years, and these things, for those of you who are familiar with raised bed septic fields, are not cheap. So I would assume the first time someone's septic goes bad, they're going to be calling up again. Is that a year from now or 10 years? We don't know, but everything's going to be there for them to make a connection into the line.
All right, Adam, you good?
Yes, thanks, Matt.
Yep. So the intent tonight is to get a public hearing scheduled for this project, which would be on June 10th. So it sounds like everyone's good. So speak now or forever hold your peace.
Did have one more question.
Yep, go ahead.
Okay, this is Kurt. One of the homes does not have a turnaround spot on their driveway. So that implies that to get out of their driveway, they're going to be backing out onto Phillips Road. Is that correct?
I'd probably
And
tell
they're near
you,
the
Kurt,
intersection.
that's a drafting error. We'll make sure we modify that.
Okay, thank you.
This lot right here, I think it's lot 1, it's lot number 4.
Yes, okay.
Yeah,
Thank
I'm
you.
just realizing it now that you picked that up.
No other questions.
Mr. Bergman, we appreciate your attention to detail. Good catch. Okay, with that, I'm going to make a motion to schedule a public hearing. Public hearing is hereby scheduled for June 10th, 2020 at 7:05 p.m. pursuant to Executive Order number 202.1 issued by Governor Cuomo on March 12, 2020, and advisories issued by federal, state, and local officials related to COVID-19 virus. The planning board will convene the public hearing remotely as follows. The public hearing will commence at 7:05 p.m. and shall be conducted through the use of Zoom, a web-based video conferencing tool with local desktop client and smartphone applications that will allow board members and the public to participate electronically and remotely by audio and with or without a video connection. The meeting will also be live streamed on the town's YouTube channel. Information for the meeting will be included in the legal notice. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Is that Ralph?
I thought I had him, but you call it.
Wait, who was it?
I thought it was me, Matt, Ralph.
I'm giving it to Ralph. I can't see who's doing what. Second by Mr. Viola.
Roll called as follows. Chairman Maston,
Yes.
Mr. Moore,
Yes.
Mr. Viola,
Yes.
Ms. Kupiak,
Yes.
Mr. Bergman,
Yes.
Ms. Horn,
Yes.
Mr. Panton.
Yes.
Motion carried by 7-0 vote.
Thanks, Steve. I can't wait to meet you on the 10th.
Thank you guys very much.
Take care.
All right, next we'll move on to 1927 Cellular Sales, East Greenbush, 597 Columbia Turnpike. This is the Pizza Hut site for a Verizon. So I see some Donahoe's, yep, all right, and I see Luke is on, so I'm not sure who's gonna be doing the presenting, but go ahead.
All right, so a quick recap of where we've been with this project. We brought this project before the town of East Greenbush, did some discussion with the town, and then set up our first PRT meeting to review this project back in June of 2018. And then after that, we, because of the zoning issues, we sought a variance. It was the same idea about building on the footprint of this property, of the old Pizza Hut, but we pursued a variance to try to avoid the requirement for a second-story habitable apartment or habitable use, which also requires an enclosed parking space. That seemed like quite a burden to what we were trying to achieve. However, the Zoning Board of Appeals had denied our application. And so then what we did was to modify, we met with some members of the town, including Jack, and we modified our proposal such that the building that we are now proposing is a remodel of the existing Pizza Hut. So we are saving some features of the existing building, some of the brick walls, of course, the sub-slab utilities, all the stem walls of the foundation, and we're trying to save the slab as well. So that would constitute, so therefore what we're removing is the wood frame structure that is the roof and the interior walls. So we put that application together and we brought it before the board here on January. We went through a sketch plan. And then we reappeared on the 26th of February, and we made some modifications to that sketch plan, reducing the parking to the maximum required. We pushed the parking back from the street so that it more or better aligned with the building, the front of the building. We removed the parking that was between the building and the street. We added a sidewalk that really connects the building to the sidewalk out front. I think one of the other things was we had upgraded the dumpster enclosure as far as the decorative aspects of that. At that meeting, we also discussed some other changes. I think architecturally, I think the only change that we talked about was perhaps the addition of adding an arch to the top of the, I call it key, the upper parts of the parapet. And then of course is the discussion about the trees and the landscape plan. So in preparation for tonight's meeting, we had sent the materials showing the revised sketch plan, or excuse me, the revised site plan with the vegetation changes, landscaping changes, as well as have sent some elevations of the exterior of the building. Angela here has also modified the rendering, which I think is a better illustration of how the exterior of the building looks and how that change affects the design and the feel of the building.
Dahlia, do you have any of this stuff that you could share with us, or is it not readily available?
So if you allow us to share the screen, we can show it right here. Oh, thank you. Perfect.
Yeah. We have access. Let me see.
Yes, sir, the rendering.
Sure. It's not up yet.
Okay, go ahead.
Excellent.
Right.
Thank you.
Mhm.
So again, in this rendering here, you'll see it's rather similar to the rendering that we had produced before. The only change in this really is the addition of the softening the building a little bit by adding that an arch shape to that pediment there.
This is a rendering from meant to be from somewhere else. That building behind it doesn't exist, right?
No, it doesn't. That's the no, it does not. We're just taking a look at this building.
So this is more just architecturally looking at what you're proposing.
That's correct. Yeah.
So the vegetation would be pretty drastically different.
Well, this represents the planting beds. I do believe that when we were talking about looking at the tree, saving some trees or saving a tree, that I did remove the specimen trees that we had proposed to put into the lawn, because obviously mixing one of these mature maple trees with those more decorative specimen trees no longer made sense. But otherwise, the beds and stuff that we're proposing, I would say, are very accurately depicted as far as their locations go, yes.
But all of those trees are now gone.
No, we have, you can move that to the...
Other than the one that's way off, yeah, that one, too, on the left side.
On the other side. So yeah, that tree to the right side is, or am I looking at it backwards when I see it?
This
Yeah.
is the tree right
Yeah.
It's a little tough for me to correlate, right? Because it doesn't totally, that's a better view, I guess, right?
Right, exactly.
With this, that one's the best view, I think, because it better represents the building itself. It's the stuff behind it and, you know, the roads that are screwing me up, I think. So let's go through the board again and get some questions. So I'll start with Jim Moore again. Jim, you got anything? Jim, are you on mute? Jim, I can't hear you.
Should be unmuted.
Maybe his phone's screwed up. All right, Ralph, you got anything? You're muted, Ralph.
Can you hear me now?
Yep, you're good now.
A couple questions. This elevation shows windows above the awning. Is that a true depiction of what we're going to see? Did you hear me? Oh, he's muted also.
I can hear. I can hear you. I don't know if Guy heard you or not.
Sorry, I accidentally muted us and couldn't
Yeah,
unmute.
okay.
I apologize.
Yeah, and there's nothing I like to do more than talk. So yes, those windows are indeed actual windows.
Okay.
I think that was some of the discussion that we had in the first meeting as well. I'm sorry, I overlooked that. There were a couple of points I overlooked from our January 8th meeting to our February 26th meeting. And in the January 1st meeting, you asked us to, we agreed that this was a one-story building and it was a remodel of it, but you had asked us to make some attempt to architecturally make this building meet the spirit of the zoning code asking for two-story buildings. So we did. We added about 5 feet to the height of this building, and we added second-story glass on this elevation here, and you would also see it on the north elevation as well, about the opposite side of the building.
Yeah.
The other thing I failed to identify that we had covered at the last meeting too is we also provided you with an extensive signage package.
So I think it really flows with the whole design of the building. I think did a great job satisfying my needs as far as the exterior. One of the questions that I still have an issue with is the trees and the landscaping. So in regards to the trees that are on the New York State right-of-way, it's my understanding that we are leaving those trees.
No, we are proposing, we had wished to remove the trees. We had appealed to the Blake Buckner back in September, October of 2018 relative to being able to do this landscape on this property as well as manage these trees. He was agreeable, have those emails about, yeah, go ahead and remove the trees. Our discussion with him, he was very much in favor of removing the trees, but I believe the DOT is always in favor of removing trees. They're not really necessarily assets to the DOT, they're only liabilities. And of course, we are a business. We are in a retail area, we're a retail section, and we are trying to provide visual identity and make ourselves very seen and known. So we had hoped to remove all the trees. Obviously, that was a discussion, a big part of our discussion from the 26th of February. And at that time, you had felt that we should make some concessions relative to the trees to save something.
Well, since our last meeting, if you notice, when the sidewalks are going in on the other side of Route 4 and 9 and 20, the DOT has now removed all the trees, very big, large, mature trees on the Country True Value side of the road. So we've lost all the landscape and all the vegetation on that side. And,
yeah,
and that was due to nothing that we had any control over.
No, just like this also is property that belongs to, is managed by the New York State Department of Transportation, which indeed is exempt from any town planning or an asset of the town.
Correct, but I was here when we actually, I was just a young kid back then, but I was part of this whole reorganization of this intersection back in the 70s. And those trees were planted at that time. as part of the proposal to the town of East Greenbush. I feel very strongly about removing any of those trees that are on the New York State DOT right of way.
No,
So I guess, yeah, Luke heard some of our scuttlebutt before the meeting too. And I guess my question is, like, for me personally, if I go to Verizon, it's not because I'm driving by and I say, oh shoot, there's a Verizon store. It's because I have a need to go to Verizon and I'm headed to that destination. Is it that critical to have the storefront not blocked by trees?
Yeah, no, I can speak to that because I obviously hopped on there, so I heard a little bit of the conversation. So, if we were a corporate Verizon store, I would agree with you. If you were to Google Verizon, like you just said, because you have an issue with your phone, Google would direct you to a corporate store, the corporate store in East Greenbush. So, being an indirect, locally owned business is very different in that when you call in, it's anyone on the 611 or same thing with AT&T. I think it's 611. Over the phone, it's a corporate business, and they will 100% of the time pay us when we as a retailer. So I think I did a pretty poor job the last meeting of explaining, I guess, who we are. I think that would be a good thing to start with, because we are.
I think I got the gist of that, but you were breaking up pretty bad. Was I the only one, or?
No, I couldn't hear him either, Matt.
Didn't hear that either, no.
Can I
So
interject?
but I think I got what you're saying, right? Is that
Yeah.
you're not a corporate store, so if we were to Google Verizon, they're going to send us to a different store, not your own. So that's why
Yeah.
that's the benefit.
And sorry, I had you on speaker and I took it off, so it's going to look silly. But my speaker on my computer is not doing great. So the comment about curb appeal, and again, I operate 44 stores in that state park, 6 rentals that are currently closed, and they're open. And when we work with each board, the most important thing that we always have worked with across our state is visibility to the location, because over 50% we have locations in different parts of the country that we have doubled the size of the sign, and we've doubled the traffic, because it's the visibility piece that's important to us. And so with that being said, if you look at Verizon, especially or corporate or otherwise, that is shielded by trees, that there actually isn't a single one in the entire state. And so it's important to us that the store is visible. And I went out to the location after the last meeting. It was getting dark, if you remember, and I said I'd run out. And, you know, the one on the corner, obviously we had talked about, and Guy put back in the plan as we had talked about. The comment about it not being the curb appeal, it just isn't accurate based on us operating for years and years in upstate New York. And so this site is one that we love, and we're paying a premium to be on the corner. We're actually paying a premium. We've been under lease. We've been paying on the site since July 2018, just working through the details and trying to get it open. And we're paying a premium to be on the corner to have the visibility of the sight line of customers driving by. And so the plea that I was saying today is just to understand that it's not a corporate-owned business. I think corporate could put a store behind a shopping center, and they would be able to drive traffic because of online, because of over the phone, just what they're able to do to drive traffic. But we are significantly more, our traffic is driven based on people driving by. Stores in East Greenbush, so that they want us to open to pull in more business. However, the more business that they can maintain at their store, it is something that they're not going to send business to our store. So I hope that helps explain a little bit the difference. If it was corporate, an issue, not being corporate, being a smaller business, that is the real challenging and hoping to get to the point where, we can concede and meet in the middle, one of the trees, build a beautiful store, make that corner look amazing as we want to and keep it up. Not having the building shielded from the street by trees.
Well, actually, you have three sides. You have three elevations that have very good exposure. You have all three sides, other than the one that's facing the trees. You're going to be able to see coming from Route 4. You're going to be able to see traveling on 9 and 20, heading towards Albany. You're going to also be able to see it heading back up towards Skodak. I think we have great visibility. One of the questions I see looking at this rendering, and I don't know if you know, but is your signage that you're showing here proportional to what you're allowed? Maybe we can increase the signage heights on some of these sides to give you a little bit more visibility in lieu of cutting those trees down on that one side. That was one thing that I just happened to take a look at.
Absolutely, and with all due respect, the corner that we're paying premium money to be on is that side, and that does make the issue the big. The corner that we're paying to be on is that side, and so the parapet. Obviously, these trees are high, and so we would have to build a 6-story building to get above them. So it would be straight through. But during the summer, if you've been there during the summer, you physically from that intersection cannot see the building at all, and that is again kind of what visibility to be able to see the building.
What if you come up with some option? We're putting a ground, a little freestanding, or I should say freestanding or ground level sign on that one side, and we allow you to trim the trees up, let's say 6 feet or so from the ground up, that will give you the visibility of the signage.
The state of New York will never allow us to put any kind of signage, any kind of monument.
I'm talking on your parcel. I'm talking about on your parcel, right on that edge of your
parcel. But again, Ralph, you're talking about something that is to the north of the corner. So I would agree with you, this building has some very visible sides. But coming down Route 4, we're only looking at the side of the building that sets on the property line. And despite the fact that we get a good look at it, it is not a street view, nor do we have any control over that property to our east or the development of that property, nor is it an attractive side that suggests entry to the building. And of course, if you're traveling north on 20 or on Columbia Turnpike, you won't see this. I would say these trees do a very good job of obstructing that building until we get beyond the intersection.
Yes, you do show that pylon sign that you're going to add on the sidewalk side of Routes 9 and 20. That's going to give you visibility on both sides. I'm sure that's going to be a double-sided sign. Those are my comments.
Indeed. Yeah, indeed, it can be seen, but will it give the amount of visibility that having the visibility of the building on the corner? I don't think that's accurate. Also, I would say that, one of the things that we dealt with these trees in the beginning, and I think we're all rather familiar with these trees, is that the DOT planted them, as you say, a long time ago as part of a plan with the town, and they haven't done anything to trim or maintain these trees. The fact that Verizon would plant a specimen tree, and it is in their interest to maintain the tree. It is not in the interest of the DOT to maintain them, and they never do. And I think that's rather evident.
I guess I have, one general comment, right? I think the building is, beautiful. You guys did a great job. I think the trees will be a sticking point as we roll through each board member. And to be fair to Luke, who's his service is a little spotty. It's we're missing. Luke, you should get a Verizon phone. I think it maybe would be helpful if we could generate some questions from the board or comments from the board on paper that, you guys could then reply to either through email or at the next meeting. Because I think otherwise we're going to be talking about this for a few hours at this meeting.
Well,
Unless,
but we've been talking about this project for a couple of years now. Indeed, we own some of it. COVID owns a piece of it. But in a couple of weeks, we'll be celebrating the second anniversary of discussion with the town of East Greenbush regarding the development of this property. So with all due respect, I think that I would, if there are members that wish to make some comments regarding the trees, and I think we've all had some consideration regarding this, I guess I would welcome to hear them now.
no, I'm going to continue to, I still want people to have comment. I guess the point I was getting at is I'm not sure we're going to get to a point where we're going to vote on it tonight, but that's just my opinion. But we can, Ralph, are you good with your questions?
I think I've said my piece. Yes, thank you.
Okay. Is Jim Moore back?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yep, you're good.
So my comment was also related to the trees, but I think that if we look at consider 9 and 20 as an east-west running road, the trees to the northern portion of the existing site in the DOT right-of-way serve an important traffic calming function, and getting rid of them would eliminate that traffic calming and be contrary to some broader pedestrian-oriented town planning objectives. So I can see the value of the trees to the north more than I can see, say, to the southern or western part of that intersection.
Any comment from the applicant?
I just hope that
the town.
I would just hope that. Go ahead, Pat.
I was going to say regarding the town planning objective, I assume this is talking about the identified town resources. Is that right, Jim?
I'm looking at the land use plan for a starter.
Right. So are you including lands that are owned and controlled by the New York State Department of Transportation for which you have no jurisdiction?
Well, I think the town planning objectives, you are correct in that, but the town planning objectives run contrary to maybe what some of DOT is interested in. I think if this issue was presented to the DOT by Adam and Dahlia that expressed concerns over potential elimination of traffic calming along that on-ramp headed on merging onto 9 and 20 westbound, I think it's an issue that needs to be run out.
Right. And again, we did reach out to Blake Buckner, the engineer for DOT regarding this, and he had no objective to our removing the trees.
Yeah, I don't think they had a, we also reached, and we also reached out, and I don't think they had an opinion, right, Adam? They weren't, I think it was phrased during a meeting that they were favorable to them being removed, and then we followed up with them and they didn't share that opinion. Is that correct, Adam?
That's right.
Obviously, the DOT, again, my remark being the same, the DOT is not emotional about the trees. So I'm not sure about the traffic calming effect, because the DOT doesn't usually add, I've never known them to add trees for a traffic calming effect.
Well, Guy, they do add trees for traffic calming in the middle of traffic circles, for example. So,
oh yeah,
or
or the
precedent.
Or the median of a large highway, yeah. But I don't know about intersections. I mean, I've never known the DOT to load up an intersection with trees as a traffic calming device. I agree with you, Adam, that when you're looking through a traffic element, such as a circle or such as a freeway, I would agree with that. Yes.
I'm not so sure the DOT wouldn't be willing to be a cooperative partner in this issue, or at least provide them the opportunity to explicitly address the concern.
But Jim, they did. And so if you guys push them that direction, possibly, but I feel like, I mean, comments were made earlier. I feel like we're being, since I was in front of the board, I was driving up.
Yeah, I can't. He's breaking up a lot. I can't hear him.
Wait till you get to log on by phone.
Let's try that now. I was on Wi-Fi. Is that better? I didn't realize I was on Wi-Fi. Is that better?
Yes.
Okay. What I was stating is that we had reached out during this 2-year process with the DOT, and they were suggesting that taking them down would be okay. And so I feel like, you know, I was at the board a couple months ago before this situation happened with COVID, and I was driving out to the site to see about leaving a tree or two. And I feel like from that point until this call, multiple trees were taken down across the street that have no bearing on our property, and our business is going to be affected because of that. And that is a struggle that I'm having with this, that, you know, the trees taken down on the other side of the property, I'm sorry, like I know which trees you're talking about, but should our business suffer because of that? Because, you know, if we move forward with building this building with trees up, which we are going to have to move forward with agreeability with this board, because I've already signed a lease. I've been paying rent for 2 years. And so we're going to have to move forward. If we move forward with the trees in place, it will affect our business. And I'm asking this board to please not affect the business, because I don't want to be leaving in 8 years when this lease is up and this building be sitting vacant again. And that is my very direct plea, is what happened across the street, I don't believe should have an impact on our business and our property.
I don't think the trees across this. I don't think the trees across the street are the driving factor. The discussion with the board since we've met has been to not take any trees down. That's my recollection, unless I'm misremembering. There's been pushback based on the
board
trees.
meeting, we were talking about making a concession, and Ralph actually introduced this topic, saying that since the trees across the street were taken down, he had changed his thinking to now no trees being removed. That was a little bit ago on this call, and so that was my reason for bringing that up.
I'll just interject that I'd mentioned that the trees on the other side of the road were a major loss. But however, my thoughts about cutting these trees has never changed since day one.
Yeah, I think.
So why did I leave the last board meeting to talk about potentially leaving a tree or two? That leaving the last board meeting was the comment, what could we concede? This isn't a conception of this thing we're keeping on trees. A conception is meeting in the middle. A conception is literally allowing you guys to design the building that's sitting in front of us at our cost. We're just asking on the board side in relation to trees that will impact our business. And that is whatever you want to do designing that building, we'll do.
I guess I'm again having a real hard time. I think your service is pretty spotty still, but that is kind of what I was getting at, right? We're trying to work with you here, and I was hoping that, you know, maybe if we had 2 weeks where you give the board some time, not having this rendering with this landscape plan, to give you some written comments or to really think it through, right? I mean, it's been months since we've seen you. So,
Yeah,
guy, you're laughing, so go ahead.
Yeah, Matt, I'm afraid if we give you 2 weeks, you're going to want us to plant more trees.
Well,
Well, so I guess on the flip side, right? If we vote on it tonight, I'm trying to get the best, you know, the most positive outcome for both sides here, right?
Again, when we, as Luke was trying to point out, and I know that he was breaking up, and on the 26th, when we entered into a discussion about this, And I think most of the discussion actually was with Nancy regarding the trees and about saving the trees. In the end of that discussion, she was making a plea to us to see if we couldn't save any of the trees, a couple of the trees.
That's
you know?
right.
And that's in fact what we've done. So I didn't hear any other board member, not another board member, say anything about saving all of the trees. So here we are tonight, and all of a sudden we're going backward relative to the discussion that we're having about the trees. I don't understand that.
I'm going to take exception. I'm going to take exception because my particular point of view never
who's speaking?
Called for saving all of the trees. I'm looking at the trees along the curve of that on-ramp as being an important traffic calming element. And I think it's an important life safety issue, particularly if we're looking to densify this area of the town over time. So I think it's an issue that's worth looking at more closely. And to be frank about it, I don't think DOT has looked at it from that perspective. So I think it's worth a conversation.
Go ahead, Nancy.
Can I speak? Matt?
Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead.
I think he's right. I think that one meeting I was the one person that was disappointed about the trees because I was hoping someone would develop it and save them and do something decorative with them. On the other hand, I'm a business person and I understand where they're coming from, and I don't think we had much in place to protect those trees. Obviously, they didn't protect them across the street. I did send the board, and maybe no one got it because I never got a response. After that meeting, I sent the board an email and showed where we were losing a lot of trees based on the recent proposals in that area, including one potential proposal on Iroquois. And I said, look at where we're losing all of these street trees. Other municipalities like Hudson, for example, they did a natural resources inventory. They have a whole map just on street trees. That's how important they are to them. But we didn't have that in advance to give to these developers. So at this point, I'm looking for something that would be traffic calming, like Jim said. And I see you're willing to save that one tree. I was thinking maybe save the nicest looking one because a couple are scraggly. Could something be done under that tree, like a bed or something? And you're going to say the state won't let you plant on their land, but to maybe put some something kind of spiny and evergreeny under it, and just to extend it like a planter like you have around the building, and stretch the effect of that tree a little bit, and then call it a day.
Indeed, I think that the DOT will allow us to do plantings in that area as the PRT team pointed out to me 2 years ago. And hence, that's one of the reasons for reaching out to Blake Buckner in the first place. And thank you to your PRT team for that. A lot of times I've found the DOT not to be so very agreeable to that. And that again was the reason for approaching them, because even the beds that you see in the landscape plan that we've provided, or the illustration that you're seeing here, part of those beds are already over onto the DOT land. And the DOT was most agreeable to that. And just as your county had provided its county comments and made the comment, we'll have to get a permit with the DOT to do those plantings. But certainly, Nancy, that I can't see therefore why they wouldn't be agreeable to us providing some ground cover or some protection to the base of any tree that we save there. Yes.
And I think the lifespan of some of the maples is rather short. Ralph, I don't know how long. You said it was in the 70s. How long will that tree remain? And maybe we could take advantage of these developers by getting a tree in that section there, or maybe take that one down and put some shorter ones down, Jim, that would then act in lieu of those and last us many years into the future. Perhaps something like you're not gonna like this one, a denser, like a spruce, like a blue spruce or something that you could put nice little lights on at Christmas time or something right at that corner. I don't know, I'm looking for something decorative and interesting and nice for people to look at as they're on that sidewalk walking by.
Those trees are 44 years old and they're mature, and no matter what you take down and replace them with, you're not going to get that beauty. You're not going to get that that look that we're trying to get in the town center. We're going to end up with asphalt and sidewalks if we keep going. And
well, I hope
this is
not.
This is an opportunity where everybody drives through. It's our town center, and by allowing these trees to be cut down, I think you're making a big mistake.
Hey, Mayor, can I make some comments?
Yeah.
You know, I went out today in anticipation of this meeting and drove around just to look at the trees, because the other times we've been talking about this, it's been winter, the leaves haven't been on the trees. So I really wanted to get an assessment now that the leaves are on there. And, you know, out of the 5 trees that are there, the 5 big trees that are there, there was only one that I felt was really obstructive, you know, to hiding that side of the building. And as Ralph said, the other sides of the building, you know, are perfectly clear. I'm not comfortable looking at this rendering because I'm not sure what is in or out of this rendering. When I looked at what was submitted for updates to the landscaping in our packet, it said that the crabapple trees, 2 of the 3 crabapple trees were going to be removed from the proposal, and only 1 crabapple tree is still proposed on the north side of the driveway next to the asphalt parking. So the 3 that are in that cluster there that look really pretty, but those aren't in the plan right now. So for me, I, number one, really need to see what is the actual rendering of the landscaping look like. But I don't think the trees are obstructing view that much. And like Ralph said, 3 sides of the building are wide open. I also don't understand the comment about the corporate location versus non-corporate, because I recently had to find a Verizon store. In fact, I was looking for a corporate Verizon store and Googled Verizon, and every Verizon store shows up, and it's listed based on location, not by corporate or non-corporate. In fact, I had a hard time figuring out which of the stores were corporate or not corporate. There's not as many as I thought that were corporate. So I don't understand that. You know, I agree that stopping at a Verizon store is not a compulsive stop, and people are going to know it's there. So I don't understand how it really is going to affect Verizon's business that dramatically by having a few trees.
If I can just make a quick comment on what you said, that people are going to know it's there. People only know it's there if they can see it when they're driving by quickly in a car. When you're driving and you're riding in a car, you know, signage on one side of the building isn't usually even going to cut it, because people are driving, right? So you really have to have, and that's why I think that this is really, really important to loop, because no, it's not, if I don't see a Verizon store and say, oh, I'm going to go in there and I'm going to do that. But when I do need to go to the Verizon store, I'm going to remember where I saw one. And I'm going to go back to it. And yeah, I might Google to get the directions or get the hours or something like that. But really, I'm going to go to the one that I've seen. And if this is the town center, right? This is an area where there's a lot of that traffic. And so there's a really big opportunity. This isn't a side road that, you know, only a couple of people are passing down or you're only going to as a destination. This is a path where a lot of people are traveling by. And a lot of people traveling by, the more people you can catch, it translates to more business. And so I believe, and you know, I'm speaking for Luke on this, but that's the feel behind it. And I think that having that visibility, especially as you're coming around the road and taking that off ramp to that is really important, because that's a path that people are taking as they're going around there. So I just think that's
well, I understand, but you can put the Verizon sign on all 4 sides of the building. Is there anything, can you only do 2? 2 sides?
2.
And that's not something that a variance could help you with, because, you know, coming down Route 4, that the backside there. I mean, that,
I would rather not meet with your ZBA board again, or extend this process.
yeah, I understand, but if the visibility of signage is that critical to your business, then maybe that would be helpful to you.
I have a question on lighting. In that respect, landscape lighting, because I just spent about $1,000. The building I live in was an old dentist office from the 60s. I gutted it, and it's kind of cool. And I uplit the maple tree on the corner and then put an interesting lighted feature under it and extended the garden a little, like I explained. And then we are also lighting some of the landscaping around the building, and the neighbors love it. Again, that attractability as you're walking by. Would there be any consideration for me, if you left that one tree and extended a bed under there or something and put something interesting and spiny under there to provide landscape lighting within these islands, so that the vegetation itself becomes more of a feature of that corner, so people won't miss the green feature so much and they would enjoy it at night? Any opportunity to uplight things and stuff like that would enhance that, the appeal of what's remaining of the vegetation?
Luke, do you want to speak to that?
I'm not sure what would be approved. Have you looked at lighting? Because I'm not sure.
Are you asking me that?
No, I'm asking if he's looked at lighting, because I'm not sure what would be approved.
I have not. I have not addressed lighting.
Well, most of the wire you have to bury, and you put in conduit. The stuff I put in, you only had to bury like 8 inches, but usually you go on 12 to 18 inches, maybe cut a little trench, put a conduit, bury it, have something that will illuminate the trunk and the branches, and particularly in winter, it has a very nice effect. I think what the neighbors in Greenbush are going to miss is that they're used to seeing that greenery on the corner. So if we're considering reducing that, how do we illuminate or enhance the stuff that will remain is what I'm asking. And I think lighting is everything.
Nancy, I would say that we're definitely agreeable to uplighting the tree.
And just to follow up on that, there are standards in the code at 3.2.6. I'll just read it. All exterior lighting landscape lighting, it's sub E. Landscape lighting may be directed upwards with reviewing board approval only, provided that the fixtures are fully shielded and no bare bulbs are readily visible from the public way. Landscape lighting should not exceed 3 feet in height.
Yeah, we would take that as a condition. I think that's a very easy objective to meet with the code.
Yeah, so I mean, in compromising here and going with lesser trees or saving what we can come to an agreement on and enhancing what's there with some lighting would make a big difference to me. Because that's what I was kind of looking for if somebody developed that corner anyway, was to promote the trees, to light them. I think that's the first thing I did say is, oh my God, you're going to cut those trees. I wanted them to see them uplit, But all right, I'm just trying to come up with some good ideas here.
It's a really nice idea. I still don't think we need to lose 4 of them.
Guy, can you share the actual landscape plan? Do you have that ability?
Yes.
And I do have before I go off of this rendering, is this rendering from, East Greenbush, the distances and so on that we're looking at?
I'm sorry, Kurt, would you repeat that?
I don't think sure. Yep. The rendering that we were just looking at, is that an actual one that was actually created for East Greenbush with the curb, where the curb was, the curb distance from the building and so on?
Yes, it is a very accurate dimensional depiction of it. It's not a document photograph or anything, but yes, it is.
No, right. It is
created from the site plan, which is created from the survey.
Yeah. Oh, okay, great. So it's not some stock picture. Okay, great. Thank you.
No, otherwise I would have made that one single tree just block out my whole building, So this is the location. Again, this location is according to the survey where that one tree is located on the corner.
So that one tree stays, and then you're taking out 4 of them, I think. Is that correct?
Yes.
I believe that is correct. You know, and then of course the 3 pines, which I think Nancy didn't like, right, Nancy?
Well, they're dirty trees, but go ahead. They do, their lifespan is rather short. The white pines, is it, right? Whatever.
And where are you proposing the one crabapple tree to go?
The one crabapple tree you'll see is all the way up Columbia Turnpike between our parking ingress and the dry cleaner. And again, I removed the other crab apples we had out there because I don't think the composition of the mature maple tree and then the young crabapple trees, I don't think that's a nice composition, and it does neither any favor.
And the rendering does reflect that, those trees that were out here being removed.
Right, but the rendering still has the 3 poles around the corner of the building, right? And those are all gone now.
Well, everything that we show there is still there. So there's the 3 trees on the corner of the building that are within the bed. There's the tree that is where the parking lot now exists between the dry cleaners. We removed all the asphalt in front of the building and have made that green and added a planting bed. We removed the asphalt between the road and the parking area, a couple spaces. We've made that all green, and we've added beds there, which again, according to zoning, you would like to see a bed or a buffer type between the parking and the street. So we've made those improvements and those beautifications to the street that I think is compliant with the plan. And really, I think the comment about this turning to asphalt and concrete is not accurate. I don't think that can happen unless the DOT does it. And then I don't think, we wouldn't like it, and neither would you, but none of us have any control over that. And I assure you, we won't turn it into asphalt and concrete.
Who's going to maintain the state portion of that? When you cut your lawns, which are fairly nice, who maintains?
Yeah, we are going to maintain it. We're
That's
going to,
good. All right.
Yeah, for sure. We're going to take advantage of it, full advantage of it.
All right.
So what are the 3 largest circles on the corner of the building? What are those plantings?
Oh boy.
Those are weeping cherries, perhaps?
Yeah, I'm afraid I apologize. I cannot read that.
Well, they're designated 1. I think they're weeping cherries, right?
That is correct, Nancy.
Okay. Which they're very beautiful in spring.
Right. If Dahlia, if you could give Angela, if you could give Angela permission to share her screen from the other login, I think we can revolve this rendering a little bit, if that might be helpful to the board relative to seeing this building modeled.
Let me check. Everyone can share their screen, so I think you have to stop yours and then she can start hers.
Oh, yeah, that's right. She's right.
Okay, just a moment.
Yep.
That's why I brought my producer along.
Sorry. All right, be right back.
So unfortunately, this one does not show the, oh, I'm sorry, it's the other side. Okay, so Angela, if you'd stop for a second. So you can see the tree that we're adding over north, on the north side of the property on Columbia. So that's an area that we're adding a tree. And of course, those beds that buffer the parking area and the green area in front of the building, and then the 3 weeping cherries that we're adding on the corner of the building. And of course, now where there's just concrete between the Pizza Hut and the state right-of-way, we're tearing that concrete out, and then we're adding these beds, which these weeping cherries are in, that extend out into the state right-of-way. And you have it's not just about a pretty picture, you have a planting schedule for which you can use to measure us.
You stop that right there for me, please? You stop that right there?
You stop?
Yeah. So right now, the tree that you're proposing to leave, okay, blocks that signage completely when you're coming from 9 and 20 Skodak heading towards Albany.
We want to cut it down too. So
I mean, here you left one tree. Well, okay, but you're past the intersection. So that's my point. I think we've beaten this thing to death. And I think when you pan back and take a look at the view coming from 9 and 20, right there, driving down 9 and 20, heading towards Rensselaer.
Involve a little more so that you're on Columbia.
Yeah, right there. Okay. Well, you can see it. Yeah.
Right.
Ralph,
So now,
I stood on that. I stood in that corner before I heard a guy to put that tree. I stood on the corner myself and took sightline pictures. So, and that is the reason we left that tree, was because it would look good on the corner, but the sign would still be visible.
Right.
And the three planted on the corner would make the building look, will look beautiful. We would have more trees that we had planted and added back, but obviously would not block the sign bands, because we're spending money to put signs up. Presumably people would be able to see them, to put up a sign that, it's a $20,000 sign that's not, viewable. It doesn't make a lot of sense. And so
right. But
from
right
the
there,
corner, that sign is visible.
Yeah. But right now you're actually not at the red light. You're past the red light heading towards, if you step back, but you probably can't. Yeah. Come on back at the red light. Okay. Move over a little bit. You're blocked right there. That's where the red light is. That was my point.
Well, this was the tree that the town wanted to see.
You still can see the sign that faces 920. So a few more trees there is not going to give you any more visibility to, wow, that's a Verizon building.
yeah, keep moving. Go ahead. So here we are,
I would like you to show a rendering in 2 weeks, because we're going to have to delay 2 more weeks, because we just can't, we're pushing into opening into September now, but we can't. I would like you to show a rendering with every one of those trees and what it does to the building. So I want the board to be able to see you walking through it like you just did, in the building completely blocked, because it is.
Yeah, I think that would be helpful, right? So if that's your argument, I think it would be helpful to understand, what that does to your building, present day versus.
But I guess the question is, would the board, for waiting the 2 weeks, I'm not saying this as gently as I can, would they care if the building's not viewable? Because if they don't, then we need to try and move forward. I don't know if that question makes sense, but Ralph and a couple of the guys on the board, if the building is completely blocked, which I know for a fact it is, that's why we're having these conversations, does it change the fact that you want all the trees remaining?
It doesn't change my view, because you know what? Trust me, I've been in business 98 years. I value business. But to have accessibility on all 4 sides of a building facade is you don't find that. Typically you have 1, maybe 2 sides visible to the public. You have the opportunity of having at least 3 visible sides available to public traffic, which is more than a lot of people have. Most people have just 1 facade that they can get, that they have the opportunity to grasp somebody driving by.
So Ralph,
Ralph, have you looked?
Trees, and let's feel the rest of the board. That's, like I said, that was my opinion. And I don't think you won't change my opinion, but you've got the rest of the board that you can.
Well, Ralph, I'd like to speak to that. I mean, you are right that 3 other sides of the building would be visible despite the valuable one being blocked off. However, the north side of the building is visible to just southbound traffic on Columbia, which is on the other side of the road, and it's on the side of the building. And after somebody builds some two-story building in the dry cleaners lot, I don't know how visible that will be. The elevation that is to the east is on the property line, and it faces the sub shop, sandwich shop or something. And again, we have no control over that. We have no fenestration on that side of the building. Those are, and then you're talking about 3 sides, which we're not even allowed to put signage on 3 sides. This building that we have before the board tonight is a compliant plan. We're compliant with the zoning. You're suggesting that in order for us to do better with this, that we give up the most valuable feature of this lot and to seek variances for non-compliant development.
That's not true. My feeling is do whatever you want to do on your parcel. Do whatever you want to do on your parcel. Provide the proper landscaping that's required by the town of East Greenbush, and you have no right to go on that easement, the New York State DOT easement, and cut down any trees. You have no right as a business person.
No more than you, my friend.
That's right, and you don't see me cutting the trees down.
All right, guys. So again, this is why I brought this up before. I had a feeling the trees were going to be a hot topic, right? And I know, Guy, you weren't, the look on your face, you weren't pleased about the trees, but I think we have hit an
I just find it nuts. This is a business district. We're trying to build a grove of trees.
Yeah, your point is taken that as nuts. I get that. So I think it would be helpful, as Luke had implied, is to come up with an alternate rendering. Would that help anyone else on the board to see all the trees there and see what the view is like? So let me just go through and I'll ask folks. Jim, would that help you at all?
Yes, my issue is if a rendering is going to be developed, develop it in a manner where one tree can be removed at a time, because the driving issue for me, even though I like visual aesthetics, is really the traffic safety benefit, the traffic calming benefits related to pedestrian safety at that intersection. And if, in my assessment, if some of those trees can be removed and we can maintain quality traffic calming on the merge ramp onto 9 and 20 headed west, I'll be satisfied. Whether that's maintaining the existing trees or some other element, I'm necessarily open to it, or removing some of them and adding some undergrowth, I don't know. But life safety is a driver.
Yeah, Guy, these new trees that'll be planted on the northern part of the parcel, which is, will they be mature trees, or the right hand of the screen I'm talking about?
Those are,
and I don't want to say plant. They're existing.
They're the pine trees, yeah.
Okay.
Despite
they're there today.
White birch-like trunks, yes. Yeah.
Okay. Nancy, do you have anything else that would help you over the next 2 weeks?
I don't think drawing all those trees in would help me at all. I think I would be happy to see that tree preserved. And as I said, I'd love to be able to get out of view, for the benefit of the town, some undergrowth or understory trees, and something that would survive much longer than that one remaining maple, because we get longer enjoyment from the money you're spending. So enhance that with an island, like Jim was talking about, a calming feature, something I'm thinking that would keep it green throughout the winter, which would be, I don't know what they are. They're like spiny little, low growing, I don't know, help me here. They're cool. They're, you can get them in blue spruce or whatever, but they extend out, they branch out, but they're low. So,
Right.
Under that, and then in between there, if you wanted to add some fun, you could put some things that would come up in spring, tulips or whatever, and then they die off and you have no more maintenance. I'm looking for low maintenance for you too. The maple trees will provide some maintenance issues. That's why I was wondering who's going to take care of that, because you're going to have a lot of leaves to rake if you do it properly. tend to like, I call them pine trees or whatever, because the birds like them, they're dense, and they stay green throughout the winter. So, and they make some beautiful low growing ones that grow out and wide and spiny and look pretty cool on that corner. And then with that one tree uplighting it, that would make me happy. Maybe even buy some of those weeping cherries, you know, but enhance what you are putting in there for us, so people don't miss it. That would make me happy.
Does that sound like something reasonable that you could attempt?
Yeah, absolutely. I think what Nancy's talking about is it's not a creeping juniper, but it's very much like it's a juniper type plant that.
Yeah, and low maintenance, and I mean, you let it go spiny, and it looks very, very cool, and spreads out. So as you're walking by, there's something interesting to look at that's within, you know, just a few feet of the sidewalk. Everything's not tucked way far away, you know, towards the building, out of reach or enjoyment of the public walking by.
Yeah, and I believe it's also, Nancy, I believe it's also rather durable and hardy, you know, relative to.
Yeah, with the salt and stuff. Yeah. Because I think whatever you plant new will last us longer. That's all.
Thanks, Nancy. Kurt, anything else you'd like to see over the next 2 weeks?
No, I did like Jim's idea of see what's in there now, and if you take them out one by one, because I don't know if it's an all or nothing proposal, what we're talking about here, take them all out or leave them all in. So maybe there is in between one that'll still give us that traffic calming effect and, you know, soften that corner visually. And plus with new plantings and stuff, you know, round it out a little bit. So I do like Jim's.
That should be not too heavy of a lift technologically, I would think, right, Guy?
The lighting?
No, to do the renderings where you can show it with.
I'm sorry. No, I checked with my producer first, and she said she could do that. As a matter of fact, then next we'll see if we can't maybe you know, make the video like traveling down the lanes of the road.
Okay.
Just
I would
so the idea.
Yeah, not to push timelines, but I would just say that earlier you could email stuff to us and we can try to give you feedback within that time. Maybe that can give us a pretty seamless meeting in 2 weeks, right? Make everyone's lives a little bit easier.
Yes, thank you, Matt. We will try to do that so it can be distributed.
Yep. Chris, do you have anything?
You know, I'm happy to look at a rendering. I think video is even better, but you know, like I said, I drove out there today. I must have looped around 10 times, if not more. And you know, I was convinced that there are at least 2, if not 3 other trees that to me wouldn't make any difference to what was or wasn't obstructed if they stayed. There was one to me that clearly was going to be in the way, but the other 2 to 3, you know, I just didn't see the need for removal for them. So I'd encourage everyone to go out in person too if you can.
Yeah, I'll make a point to drive out tomorrow and do another look through.
Chris, do you think you could identify which tree that you thought did have the impact?
If you have the rendering next time around, I can, or I don't know how. I mean, taking a picture or something maybe.
Guy, do you have like an aerial view or something where you could just do A, B, C, D, just label maybe C, D, and she could maybe do it like that? Is that too much to
I'll send the board. I think the board has it, but I think I've supplied you with a foot of paper. So let me send you that demo plan again, because the demolition plan or survey identifies the trees.
That'd be helpful. Thank you.
Of course.
Do you want to do that now? I have that handy. I mean, I don't want to lengthen this, but we could do that now.
Sure. Go ahead if you got it. Just while you're pulling it up, Don, do you have any more comments?
Looking at an aerial, I'd have to go back and double check which ones. I think I know which ones they are. But I don't know if that's going to make a difference for everyone being able to make a decision tonight or not.
Well, I think so. Yeah, I guess Adam, we don't have to bring it up right now. I think if we can email it, and then maybe over the next few days, if Chris can just take a look and identify what those trees were,
Yeah, yep.
you know,
I'd be happy to.
then we can line that up with the different views that they're going to provide, type of thing. And maybe
Yeah,
collectively
and
put our heads together.
Yeah, and Chris, it's not intended to be a burden. So if you get to it, great. If you don't, you don't. Because again, we will demonstrate all the trees and be able to pluck them out anyway.
All right, Chris, are you good?
Yep, I'm good.
All right, Don, you got anything? Don, you're on mute.
Can you hear me
There you go.
now?
Yep, you're
Okay.
good.
I agree with Nancy. Okay. I think they should get some conifers in there, low growing conifers that are, yeah, green in the wintertime. I mean, the other trees, you're just going to see leafless trees. And I think that would be a good idea. Some of the other ideas she had about lighting the trees, you know, because it's so dismal here in the wintertime. I don't want the trees that are existing there now to be a block for Verizon going in there. I really want Verizon to go in there. I don't want to see the trees uncut with the Pizza Hut building stay in there. So I really am progressive in that area. I want Verizon to go in there, and I don't want the trees to stop it. That's what I feel. Put some low growing conifers and make it more joyous in the winter months, but I definitely want Verizon to go in there. So that's my feeling.
See that guy and Luke? We're going to leave you guys on a high note.
I like that. It's a good ending for the night.
All right. Well, I appreciate the board's patience. I don't know if I chased Ralph away. Ralph, you still there?
I'm here.
All right. So I appreciate the board's patience and time tonight. Look forward to creating these submissions or these alternatives and getting them off to you as soon as we can, so for your consideration, and look forward to seeing you in 2 weeks.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And certainly, you know, I know you guys were, I think, looking for a vote tonight, but this is our first meeting back in 2.5 months. We've been doing our best to accommodate this format, which Guy, I know you were helpful. So it's baby steps, but you know, I'm hopeful and confident we'll get to some kind of, you know, final vote in 2 weeks or so.
All right.
All right.
Thank you so much for your time. Appreciate it.
All right, guys. Thank you.
Thanks all.
All right. With that, we'll move on to 2005 Herzl 19 Bruin Court.
Yeah.
Special use permit to schedule a public hearing. Any comments, questions? It's more of a formality. Adam, can you want to go over Herzl quick and just talk about what it is?
Yeah, Herzl is a special use permit application for a home occupation off of Bruin Court. I forget what, is that the R2 over there? Allison's got that map. He wants to open a fire, R2?
Yeah.
He wants to open a firearms dealing operation there. What he does is he restores guns, and his main business apparently is at gun shows and that kind of thing. The whole thing is being driven by his need for ATF approval of a federal firearms license, which will allow him certain additional activities, I guess, relative to gun shows and the restoration and that kind of thing, and storage and sale of guns. So I've been in touch with the ATF people, and he's been in touch with them. And so ATF needs to know that it's a locally approved land use in that zone. You know, in point of fact, ATF called our office once asking if Walmart was an approved gun dealer location, if there was some kind of land use restriction on it. So this is fairly standard for ATF. The home occupation, it looks like it would be, I think it would be conducted out of his garage, but that's something that he needs to present to you guys. He hasn't presented yet. And I think he's got enough parking on the site, but I don't believe that he's asking for a sign or any travel or display of, traffic from the public or display of merchandise. I mean, I think the only members of the public, you know, that are not him, that would be there are probably ATF auditors, you know. So that's kind of, you know, that's kind of my understanding of where it is. I don't have the plans top of mind, you know, but I think it's going to be housed all within existing structures.
Yeah, Adam, and from my recollection, he is not going to be making any kind of sales from the home. It's just going to be online and at gun shows, so there won't be any commercial traffic at the site.
I think that's right.
We looked at this 10 years ago. Matter of fact, I think this is one of the first area variances or special use permits that we actually looked at, probably 10, 12 years ago. He proposed the same thing.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So all we're doing tonight is scheduling a public hearing. Is anyone opposed to that?
No.
No takers. Okay. So with that, I'll make a motion that the Town of East Creamer's Planning Board hereby schedules a public hearing for June 24th, 2020 at 7:05 p.m. Just want to make sure I'm not on mute. Pursuant to Executive Order number 202.1 issued by Governor Cuomo on March 12, 2020, and advisories issued by federal, state, and local officials related to COVID-19 virus, the Planning Board will convene the public hearing remotely as follows. The public hearing will commence at 7:05 p.m. and shall be conducted through the use of Zoom, a web-based video conferencing tool with local desktop client and smartphone applications that will allow board members and the public to participate electronically and remotely by audio and with or without a video connection. The meeting will also be live streamed on the town's YouTube channel. Information for the meeting will be included in the legal notice. Do I have a second?
Second.
Was that Moore? I think Moore beat Bergman. Ooh.
Check the instant replay.
Second, I got YouTube going. We'll check it out. So seconded by Mr. Moore.
Roll call as follows. Chairman Maston,
Yes.
Mr. Moore,
Yes.
Mr. Viola,
Ralph, you're on mute.
Yes.
Ms. Kupiak,
Yes.
Mr. Bergman,
Yes.
Ms. Horn,
Yes.
Mr. Panton.
Yes.
Motion carried by 7-0 vote.
All right. So next we have two referrals. Thank you to Jim Moore and Ralph Viola for doing these. I completely forgot we even had any. We'll start with ZBA Appeal 2020-03, Gway, 733 Columbia Turnpike for 2 area variances. Mr. Moore, what do you got other than an ugly beard?
Yeah, that's for sure. Dahlia, can you bring the PDF up on and share that, or what's the easiest thing to do?
Sure, give me 1 second. Let me see. Hold on. This one, right?
Yes, please. I'll just give a quick description page by page. On the second page, there's an aerial view of the property. It's right along Columbia Turnpike in front of the Greenbush Station Apartments, which are up in the vicinity of Cumberland Farms, across the street from what used to be Wheel Deals, I think it was called. And in the back of that property, obscured by the trees in that view, is approximately a 22 by 22 garage, or 22 by 25 garage. And the applicant is seeking to rebuild it in nearly the same location. He is sliding it a little bit further away from the property lines in order to establish a little bit better drainage around the property, or around the garage, excuse me. On page 3 of the PDF is shown a parcel map from the county tax maps. And in this district, parcels are required to be approximately 100 feet wide as a minimum and 220 feet deep if we take the square footage required. In this instance, we have a 50-foot by 150-foot parcel, which is far more urban in character because of the long, narrow proportions. So as a result, that restricts the practical options the applicant has. On page 4, in a sketch provided by the applicant, you can see that the garage is about 4 feet, is proposed to be 4 feet from the rear and side property lines. That maintains 20 feet between the garage and the house. And within that 20 feet, the folks who live there park in that 20 feet, and it provides them a turnaround to pull out onto 9 and 20 safely without backing out. And then beyond that, on pages 5 and 6 are shown photographs of existing conditions with the garage set in the back. There you can see the steep slopes on the side of the garage. There's also a similar steep slope in the back side of the garage. And on the bottom of that page you can see a view from the parking lot of the Greenbush Station apartments. Those trees are up above the garage. So all in all, I'm recommending approval of the area variances due to the existing site constraints and the unique character of the parcel.
Thanks, Jim. I'm just going to roll through again and ask people about if they have comment or questions. Or so, Ralph?
I'm fine.
Okay. Nancy? Is Nancy on mute? There you go.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yep.
I'm fine with it.
Okay. Kurt?
No comment.
Chris?
I'm fine.
Don?
Okay with me.
All right. That was easy. So with that, I'm going to make a motion that the planning board votes to adopt Mr. Moore's report as its own advisory opinion, recommending approval of the variances, and shall submit the report to the Zoning Board of Appeals in compliance with section 4.3.3 of the town's comprehensive zoning law. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Is that Don?
Yeah, it's me.
Second by Mr. Panton.
Roll call as follows. Chairman Maston,
Yes.
Mr. Moore,
Yeah.
Mr. Viola,
Yes.
Ms. Kupiak,
Yes,
Mr. Bergman,
Yes.
Ms. Horn,
Yes.
Mr. Panton.
Yes.
Motion carried by 7-0 vote.
All right. Next, we have ZBA Appeal 2020-04, Sherman, 46 New York Avenue for an area variance for single-family dwelling. Mr. Viola, what do you got?
Dahlia, can you just pull up my first page, please?
Sure, give me 1 second, okay?
Yep.
Find the.
We got any AutoCAD this today?
No, I left that out.
Oh, come on.
Just scroll up to the map. That's all. Okay. What we have here is we have an applicant that's looking for an area variance to construct a home on an undersized lot. This parcel is located in an R2 district, and the R2 district requires a minimum lot width of 75 feet. This particular lot is located in the Clinton Heights area. If anybody's, I'm sure everybody's aware of Sherwood Avenue and all the side streets. It's number 46, New York Avenue. And all those lots were all, homes were all built on lots with a 60-foot width. If you look at that particular street, New York, there are 11 existing homes with 60 that are built currently with 60-foot widths. So it's in an area where it was commonplace for homes of that size. There was an existing home. This particular applicant purchased this property with a home that was dilapidated and had to be taken down because it was in disrepair. So it's now a vacant lot, and now he wishes to construct up a new home. Given the front yard setback minimum of 25 feet, he's proposing a 40-foot setback. Side yard setback, you need a minimum of 8 feet. He's proposing an 18-foot and a 12-foot side setback. Rear yard setback, R2 requires a minimum of 25 feet. He's looking at 80 feet to the rear. And he also meets the minimum lot area of 75 feet required. He's looking at approximately, what the heck did I do here? 7,000 square foot lot. Or 10,000, I'm sorry, 10,000 square foot lot. So he meets the minimum lot area. He's looking to construct a small home, 30 by 50. So the only thing that he's not in compliance with, like I said before, is the lot width of 60 feet. All the parcels are currently located on the same street, all currently have the same lot widths. The area variance would allow the applicant to reconstruct a home on his parcel. If the variance is not granted, the owner would have to maintain the parcel, cut the grass, and pay property taxes, and not be able to reap any return. There would be no adverse impact on the physical or environmental condition of the neighborhood. This request, however, is self-created. This particular applicant purchased a property knowing that the home, knowing that he had the requirement of a 60-foot width. One thing that I have a little issue with is that he plans on building a home there and selling it immediately. So that's the only issue I have. My initial thought was an offer a negative advisory opinion to the East Greenbush Zoning Board of Appeals because of the fact that he wasn't going to be a homeowner. He was doing this just for his own monetary gain, even though he knew the restrictions or the requirements that he would have to go through to build this home back. So I just like to put it out to the board and see what your feelings are.
I'm agreeable to that. So you're going to do it. It's going to be a negative recommendation, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So let me roll through again. Jim Moore.
Ralph, you said the parcel size is 60 by 100 plus, right?
60, yeah, it's 60 by 162 on one side and 60 by 167. Yeah, it's about it's almost 10,000 square feet.
Is 60 feet of frontage in this neighborhood the typical, and the zoning really doesn't accommodate for that? Is that accurate?
Yes, that's correct. Yeah. If you look, I've been on both sides of Sherwood Avenue. The lots are typically 60-foot widths. Some homes, they were able to purchase 2 lots, which gave them the 120.
Yeah.
If you look, I do have an aerial view also, which was on the second page, and you see there's quite a few lots that are only 60-foot width. Very small homes.
Ralph, do you know if when he purchased the home, he knew it was uninhabitable?
Yes.
Okay.
I wrote my report up, and then I finally got hold of the applicant, and I just was a little surprised that he offered the fact that it was in total disrepair. He knew it had to come down, and he said he typically buys one of these a year and flips them. So you know, I got mixed feelings.
So he is being honest up front, and you know, I guess given that it's not inconsistent with all the other homes on the street, and it just because he's going to be the ultimate resident, he is improving the neighborhood. Otherwise, there would be a dilapidated, uninhabitable house with no one to live there and pay property tax.
I'm sorry, Chris. I didn't mean to interrupt you, but the house has been taken. The house has been demolished.
Yeah, no.
The house is no longer there. He was. I asked him if the town made him tear it down, and he really wouldn't say. But the house has been demolished for over a year, I think he told me.
Good.
So it is a vacant lot, and I do agree with you. I mean, you know,
I mean, if this isn't approved for him, it will just sit as a vacant lot that probably won't be very nicely maintained. You know, he's put effort into this for the purpose of improving, you know, and then will be improved.
I agree with you, Chris.
I have a question, Ralph.
Yes,
Yeah,
Nancy.
go ahead, Nancy.
You said the house will be approximately 30 by 50.
Yes.
Is that 30 wide by 50 deep on that lot?
Yes.
Okay, and will it be 1 story or 2 stories?
You know, I didn't see that, to be honest with you. I
Okay,
didn't see the elevation.
Looks like most of the houses are sort of a 1 story with an attic kind of a area there from what I can see in the picture. Is that size large, or is it in common with the surrounding sizes of the buildings?
They're all relatively small.
Yeah, see?
Yep.
So they're all about 30 by 50, you're saying?
I would say, yeah. There are some that were fortunate enough to buy 2 lots.
Okay.
Those homes are larger.
So that house is not going to be unusually large looking compared to the other houses on the other lots?
No.
Okay, all right.
Ralph, this is Kurt. It looked like from the survey, the site survey, this was one of the bigger lots on that street. Is that correct?
No, this actually was there's a dash there, but it's actually 60 foot. If you go back to, if you could scroll up to the first page again, please, Dahlia. Okay, so my arrowhead is in the middle, say, of the lots. See, there's 2.
Okay.
So they're really like 30 foot lots that have been combined. See that dotted line through each one of them?
Is it bigger than the rest of them? Look, because it bumps it, the length of it appears to be longer.
Well, yeah, it is, because Regeneron's at the back end of this, so it is one of the deepest lots. Yes, Kurt, you are correct. But the width are all, I think.
The width is all the same, but the depth of it is
yes,
is the largest on that side of the street, at least.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I could go either way. I could go with a positive recommendation and not have any issues. I just,
So let's roll through it one more time and see what people think. Jim, would you go positive or negative?
I would tend to think it stays within character, only because the other lots are 60 feet wide. And I know historically, for whatever reason, Clinton Park and areas of Hampton Manor, I don't know that it applies to other neighborhoods. The zoning width requirements haven't matched the width of the typical older lots in these neighborhoods, and these lots have, I know in past years, recent years, they've been approved under, I think they were approved through the building department. I could be wrong. I'm not remembering that clearly, but in essence, I think if the lot's the same width, I don't have a problem with it.
Okay. Nancy, would you go positive or negative?
It's hard to tell. I mean, from what he's provided us, do we have design standards in that neighborhood? I mean, when you get deeper into Sheridan going towards the lake and everything, the buildings do have some integrity in the neighborhoods.
Yeah, I don't think we have design standards anywhere.
Oh, okay. All right. You know, if I were a neighbor, I would hate to see someone put up something that is so out of character and I'd have to stare at it for the rest of my life, especially if you're flipping it or selling it quickly. It means typically they're going to try and do it for as least expensive as they can and sell it, right? So your neighbor staring at this and saying, what's this thing gonna look like?
Nancy, if I may, the lot coverage maximum there is 25%. So I don't know how that structure relates to that. I haven't done the math.
Of the coverage, so you mean the size or the scale of it? I'm just curious if we had any design standards for the look of it, Adam, that's all.
I
Because,
don't
you
think
know,
so.
with nothing to guide them, he could end up with the ugliest box in the world. Not that, you know, and the neighbors, I can't see it. I have to drive back in there, and I'm sorry I didn't, but they look like they're about, what, 1950s homes in that neighborhood?
I would say it, yeah.
Yeah, if not older, I would think.
Yeah.
Okay, a little bit older, so, yeah.
The,
You know, I hate to see something with a little pressure-treated porch on the front and so on and so forth. And if I were a neighbor, I would say, why did they approve that? Why did he, you know? But,
Yeah, she's right there.
you know, we can't,
the,
I don't know.
I know it's Nancy, but, go ahead.
I just, if you wanted this, would I say yes or no? Would I go along with this? I would say, initially, I'd probably say, why would we allow that to happen? No.
Okay. Yep, that's what we're looking for. So, Kurt?
Let's see, he took down a dilapidated building, and then if it stays as a vacant lot, again, as somebody mentioned, it would be overgrown and so on. So it appears that he has made or will have made an improvement in the neighborhood, except for some of the points that Nancy had brought up. It does get, you know, from a vacant lot tax roll to a residence, so you do get the additional taxes. Yeah, there is a risk that he just did this on spec, you know, and the concerns with that. But I haven't been down that neighborhood in a while, but in there, you know, they tend to all fit the same character. So overall, I'd say positive.
Yeah, I guess something I would point to is what they did at Phillips Road, at the intersection of Phillips Road and 9 and 20, where they took down some structures and built a few new buildings. I think it was a pretty drastic improvement, well, even though it doesn't really necessarily fit the other houses there.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And to Jim Moore's point, Jim, I think you're right. I think for quite a while, the building department would just describe a lot as pre-existing non-conforming and allow people to build on it, if I'm remembering correctly.
Yeah, I think, didn't we have some of these in Prospect Heights too, that Birch Builders? Didn't you have 60-foot width? I didn't do that.
Yeah, I think you're right.
I don't recall.
Yeah. Chris, would you be favorable?
Yeah, I'm definitely favorable. And and Nancy, I understand what you're saying, but I don't think it's fair to speculate on, what he may or may not build there. Anything's going to be better than a dilapidated building. Anybody that's building on a lot, that can build whatever they want. The question here is it a problem that it's a 60-foot width and every other lot has that same width? So I don't think it would be fair to penalize him for that.
Don, would you be in favor or against?
I'm in favor of him building there. Who wants to see an empty lot? Can you hear me okay?
Yep.
I wouldn't want to see an empty lot there unkept and where a house could be put in there. The building inspector is going to, make sure it's built to code. So I don't see where that's a problem. So I'm definitely in favor of him constructing a house there. And it really doesn't make any difference to me where he sells it or not. I'd just rather have a house there.
So Ralph, it sounds like the majority are in favor. You said you'd be good either way. Are you okay with that?
Yep, I'm in agreement, yes.
Okay. So can you just modify? Yeah, go ahead.
I'll go. I just like saying in relation to what Nancy was saying about maintaining character. The current regulations don't have any design standards, but in the district area and bulk standards, part of where the character is allowed to change is the maximum building height in this district is allowed to be 35 feet, which correlates to a more contemporary means of building with, say, 2 stories and a truss on top. as opposed to an earlier 20th century or mid 20th century building that's built with one full story, and then the second story, I say, under a set of rafters. So from that point of view, you do get a you do encounter some character issues, and for whatever reasons, the town board at the time never would address. They didn't want to address adjusting the building height requirements for certain neighborhoods like this one with the adoption of the current zoning, which happened, 12 years ago or so.
So you're saying that we possibly could put a
you want to limit the height
recommendation into the zoning board of appeals to suggest they stay with the the look of the neighborhood, or somebody makes that determination? That's Rob, who's going to make that determination.
Yeah, I don't think the town has any mechanism.
Right.
Yeah, all I'll say is that the planning board really doesn't have jurisdiction for site plan review over one family residentials. I mean, obviously, someone stated before, they're going to have to build up the code.
Like you said.
Okay. I will send Allison my report with a positive recommendation.
Okay. So with that, I'll make a motion that the planning board votes to adopt Mr. Viola's report as its own advisory opinion, recommending approval of the variance, and shall submit the report to the zoning board of appeals in compliance with section 4.3.3 of the town's comprehensive zoning law. Do I have a second?
Second.
Holy crap. Bergman.
I don't know
Bergman
if
takes
it's first.
it. Second by Mr. Bergman.
Roll call as follows. Chairman Maston,
Yes.
Mr. Moore,
Yes.
Mr. Viola,
Yes.
Ms. Kupiak,
Yes.
Mr. Bergman,
Yes.
Ms. Horn,
Yes.
Mr. Panton.
Yes.
Motion carried by 7-0 vote.
All right. Allison, who can vote on February 26th minutes?
Everybody but you.
Nice. Very well written. Looked like a fun meeting. Any comments, questions? I will make a motion to approve the February 26th, 2020 minutes. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Horn. All right, there we go.
Roll call as follows. Chairman Maston,
Yes.
you have to abstain.
Oh, yeah, abstain.
Mr. Moore,
Yes.
Mr. Viola,
Yes.
Ms. Kupiak,
Yes.
Mr. Bergman,
Yes.
Ms. Horn.
Yes.
I'm sorry?
Yes.
Yes. Motion carried by 6-0, vote.
Who can vote for March 11th?
And I had to make some corrections to this because Chris, who can vote is you, Matt, Ralph, Jim, and Don. That's it. Because Chris, Kurt, and Nancy were not here.
You had to make corrections to what? The minutes?
Yeah, just to state that because I had you absent, and nobody else absent. So I had to put the correct people and absent and correct the date on the first page.
Any comments or questions? I will make a motion to approve the March 11th, 2020 minutes. Do I have a second?
Second.
I'll second.
Second by Mr. Viola.
They're gonna beat me to it.
Roll call as follows. Chairman Maston,
Yes.
Mr. Moore,
Yeah.
Mr. Viola,
Yes.
Ms. Kupiak,
Abstain.
Mr. Bergman,
Abstain.
Ms. Horn,
Abstain.
Mr. Panton.
Yes.
Motion carried by 4-0, vote.
Excellent. So I think that's it for the meeting. I do want to give us
A motion that who has the best background, and I'd have to say Adalia. She looks like an angel with the light behind her. You know? And I'll give Taylor the number 2. You know, with the thing in the background.
Oh, Taylor will have to rock it next time because she's got some real good ones.
Mine just reminds me that I have to replace these damn windows behind me.
I was wondering, are you getting bit up, Matt, or no?
Me?
Yeah. Sitting outside.
Oh, outside? No,
Yeah.
it's nice out.
No.
But I did want to give a very special thanks to Dahlia for managing the meeting and also for Taylor for taking her time to join us here in the planning board. So thank you very much.
Great job.
Thank you.
That was a good meeting.
You're welcome. I'm just glad I can help.
Thank you.
Yeah, I don't think we
Thanks.
look too stupid, so it's good. With that, I will make a motion to close the meeting. All in favor? Aye.
I
Uh,
I,
All right. Meeting is closed.
Thanks.
Everyone have a great night.